All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking open the restricted archives of the Grim Shadows universe to take a really close look at Era 2. We're going to be detailing the absolute existential threat of the Long War, the mind-bending horrors of the Void, and of course, those hidden forces that are desperately holding the line for human survival. Honestly, if you thought the first era was dark, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's get right into it. So picture it. It's the year 2100. Humanity was busy patting itself on the back for all these Mars colonies and lunar mining operations, totally convinced it was entering this golden age of progress. But then, we found the black monoliths. And that discovery proved that our grand expansion into the Sol system wasn't progress at all. It was a breach. We didn't just expand our borders, we basically picked a lock on a door we had absolutely no business touching.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, The Long War Begins, Discovery and the Monoliths.
Now, you just have to track the events here to see how incredibly fast this whole situation spirals completely out of control. We start with the initial discovery of the gateway portals in 2100. Just 15 years later, humanity attempts to harness this alien power, which leads to the disastrous first generation of super soldiers. And that is immediately followed by the catastrophic Void entry in 2118. I mean, it gets so bad that by 2125, a massive purge was ordered just to save the human race from its own secret projects. Faced with this completely impossible situation, the Hidden Authority, you know them as the Darkhold Foundation, they basically hedged their bets into two parallel projects. Project Black Arrow was designed as the shield. They were meant to guard the door, contain the anomalies, and just erase the threat. But Project Eclipse, they were the hand reaching out into the dark. They wanted to explore, to evolve, and ultimately to use the threat. It is literally the ultimate battle between containment and weaponization. So, the crucial takeaway here is that these black monoliths, they were absolutely not just some ancient inert rocks. They were active portals to the void. And this is a space where standard physics simply bleed away. Time drifts, space folds, and the laws of thermodynamics are treated more like loose suggestions. Worse than that, it's tied to ancient, incomprehensible entities known as the Old Ones. These monoliths actively alter thought, matter, and human sanity just by you being near them. Which perfectly segues into Section 2, inside Project Black Arrow, also known as the hand that enters the dark. Okay, so how do they actually operate? Well, to avoid total void contamination, Black Arrow basically survives on pure paranoia and intense compartmentalization. You've got the Nine pulling all the strings from the shadows, operating out of a mobile asteroid fortress literally called the Eye. Below them, Checkmate directs Section 1. Nomad handles mission command directly in the field agent's ears. And a highly advanced AI named Juliet processes the absolutely terrifying amount of tactical data required to fight a secret war like this. But seriously, think about the terrifying logistical nightmare this creates for a second. If standard physics don't apply to these entities and artifacts, how exactly do you contain them once you've actually captured them? You know, you can't exactly just toss a reality-bending rock into a standard bank vault.
Well, the answer to that absolute nightmare is null technology. We are talking about null cloth, dead boxes, null rounds, the whole shebang. Now, it doesn't magically fix the void or permanently erase the problem, it just disrupts the coherence of void-touch targets. It suppresses the impossible just long enough to give Black Arrow agents a fighting chance to actually survive the mission. And what happens when the mission ends? Well, the most dangerous artifacts, the ones that literally whisper in your mind, bend geometry, or just flat out refuse to be destroyed, they get sent straight to Black Rainbow. This is a highly classified, scattered network of containment sites hidden all across the Sol system. It is literally the locked room beneath the locked room, and it relies heavily on null tech just to keep those cages closed. All right, let's move on to Section 3, Enemies in the Dark. Cults, Corbs, and Eclipse. Because let's be honest, humans will always be humans, right? The megacorporations of 2075 look at a literal extinction-level threat, and all they see are dollar signs. You have Sulfet Dynamics using legal loopholes to hoard relics, while Virex Biosystems causes horrific research disasters like the infamous Theta-7 incident. Then you've got Arctech Systems pushing the absolute boundaries of human survival with fifth-generation weaponization. They are out there sparking silent corporate wars over things that could literally end the world. Then, on the total opposite end of the spectrum, we have the void cults, like the Black Dreamers.
And listen, these aren't just your standard, harmless fanatics. Their rituals, their symbols, their sacrifices, they act as living beacons to open gateways. Like the saying goes, a cult doesn't have to win a firefight against Black Arrow. If their ritual prepares the door for something else to step through, they've already won. And waiting on the other side of those doors? The Voidborn. These things are literal nightmares. You got hunters built specifically for stealth kills, infectors that use their victims as biological nests, massive siege forms built entirely to break containment, or, arguably worse, swarms that twist machine AI into these horrific singing nightmares, just like the chorus entity that was born from the Theta 7 disaster. This brings us to Section 4, Weapons of the Void, the Super Soldier Arms Race. Guys, this arms race is just absolutely brutal. The first generation in 2115 got godlike powers but went completely insane. The second gen were corrupted by the Void and secretly took over Project Eclipse. By the time we hit the corporate third gen and Black Arrow's fourth gen Predatech, we are basically mass-producing monsters just to fight monsters. And now, in 2075, Arctech has unleashed this highly unstable, highly regenerative fifth generation into the mix. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with, let's look at Black Arrow's Tier 1 4th-generation operatives. You have Reaper on Black Team. He's a null vector who breaks down Void Origin forces just by being near them, even though it physically tears his own body apart. You have Werewolf on Red Team, built for impossible physical durability and hostile extractions. And Joker on Silver Team, whose body and face can literally reshape for infiltration, but at the massive cost of his own identity. We're talking about humanity crossing literally every single moral line you can think of. I mean, they even use soul cage technology to rip the consciousness of dead operatives back into new bodies just so they can keep fighting. It really proves the grim reality of the Long War. Every generation is a question asked to the Void, and every single answer comes back worse. Which brings us directly to Section 5, Escalation in 2075, the board changes. Right now, in 2175, the system is basically flashing red on all fronts. Arctech is aggressively pushing those terrifying 5th-gen assets. Checkmate's second-in-command, Ziptie, has suddenly vanished and is presumed compromised. The RS Ghost Ship, which is a high-order strategic threat, has just reappeared out of nowhere. And the absolute worst part? Project Eclipse is back in play. This is the faction purged by Black Arrow 50 years ago, and they are now being led by this mysterious figure named Prometheus. This is, without a doubt, the purest enemy Black Arrow faces. See, Eclipse understands containment protocols perfectly, but they view containment as cowardice. They actively want to use the Void to forcibly rewrite and evolve mankind, and they absolutely do not care about the body count. 75. That is how many years Project Black Arrow has been fighting this shadow war. Decades of burying alien relics, fighting off corporate hit squads, stopping horrific cult rituals, and deploying literal super soldiers just to keep the general public blissfully ignorant of how close they are to the edge. So, as those gateway portals keep widening and corporate greed pushes the boundaries further in 2075, we really have to face a terrifying reality here. When the Void keeps sending shapes through the dark, and we just keep weaponizing the answers, are we actually preventing our own extinction, or are we just building the exact weapons that will cause it? Seriously, how long will the cages actually hold? Anyway, thanks so much for joining this explainer. Keep your eyes on the shadows, and we'll see you in the next briefing.